Well, with me is Philippe D'Arvisenet, Global Chief Economist at BNP Paribas. Philippe, there's a lot of talk about currencies. There's a lot of talk about whether we're going to see more pressure coming from the US and from Europe on China to revalue the yuan. Is there going to be?
Yeah, there's going to be, but we believe that China will let its currency appreciate. For Chinese issue, that is an acceleration in inflation, and not to please the others, of course. And one should reverse also this thinking, because the dollar is undervalued. And you should have pressure on the US in order to not to let the dollar devalue so much.
So because of the economic indicators that we saw in China over the last couple of weeks, does it mean that the G20 is going to be much more peaceful, that actually there's going to be more constructive work between the members?
Well, they set an idea, they put forward an idea, which is let's look a bit more about these imbalances. If it had been done in the past and taken care of seriously, maybe the crisis that we experienced over the last few years wouldn't have been so bad, because at the source of that, there is the big US imbalance, inflow of capital in the US, low rates, and encouragement to be more indebted. So that's very important. And these imbalances is not only currencies, it's also at which speed is credit distributed. Is there an excess in debt? Is there an excess in the construction sector, etc.?
But we're looking at these indicators to see if they actually can agree on how to define the indicators. Are we going to be able to get some of the Asian economies on board, the ones which are a little bit less transparent sometimes? You
have two things. One is the indicators. You pick them up, excess in credit, widening in current account imbalances, this sort of thing. They have been published for decades. The problem is they are looking at them more seriously, harmonized way, etc. Now, what is done because of that is another story.
What are we going to get out of the G20, if anything? Inflation, interest rates, is this something that they need to talk about now because there's a risk that interest rates go on too quickly?
I mean, you have the entire world which is opposed to the kind of monetary policy which is implemented in the US. Low rates, search for yield, outflow of capital, increase in asset prices, bubbles, commodities, etc. So how to prevent that?
How do you prevent that? Because, of course, Obama's argument is that, guys, if the US doesn't grow, nobody else grows.
That's not true. That's not true. I mean, there was a signs of a disconnection between advanced countries, as they say at the IMF, and the rest just before the crisis. There was a sign like that. Now, I'm not sure that curing the consequences of the past bubble by inflating a new one, which is precisely what the US is doing these days, is a good thing.
Yeah. Philippe, thank you so much. Philippe D'Arvisenet.
Thank you.